What's up guys, Chris here with our 5 with FLO, and today we'll be discussing lunch meetings. And I just recently had one the other day, so that's why the topic came about, and how you begin to network and have these lunch meetings with different types of people. So first and foremost, if you're going to have a lunch meeting, try to show up on time or earlier than the other person. So why do you want to do that? Well, first you want to try to get there early so you establish a nice spot within the restaurant. You don't want to have to be scrambling for a seat or whatever else. But it's very important that you show up first at all costs. Reason being, if you're there first and you're seated in the chair and you have someone coming, it will appear, no matter who's in charge of the meeting, that they're coming to your meeting versus you going to their meeting. So what I mean by psychologically, once you're sitting down and you establish your space and you own that space, now that person's coming into your space. So it's not you going to their space, it's them coming to your space. That automatically gives you the upper hand in the meeting. Now, I'm not trying to get into manipulating people, but understand when you sit down and you're there and you're waiting for them, now they're coming to your meeting. So they're a little flustered and you're the one in control to start the meeting. So that's the first thing. Be early. If you can, definitely be on time, but try and be earlier than the other person so you can establish your second thing. Whether you're the person selling or you're the person just showing up to the meeting, you want to establish a need for what you're trying to sell to that person first. So let's say, for example, you're trying to sell them a mid-level marketing company, or you're trying to sell them whatever. Establish some form of need first for your product, which will require you asking the right questions. Oftentimes people show up to a meeting and they just go, like I had a meeting and someone show up and start talking about their product. How do you even know what I need? You don't know if I need your product. You don't know what I'm using already that already does what your product does. You have no clue what my needs are. You're just coming in and telling me about your stuff. So the second thing you need to do is ask the right questions. So talk about yourself a little bit, ask them about them. If it's a fitness thing and you set up and you want to sell somebody your training, say, hey, what are some things you've been looking for? What are some things you do already for fitness? What are some things that you may not have gotten in the past? Did that work for you? What if it didn't work for you? Why didn't it work? And basically you're developing a need, so when you do go to actually try and sell the person on your product, on your business or whatever, now you're actually selling them something they actually need. So you're going to take your product, let's say for example I'm selling someone on FLO Fitness and Training. Well, I sit down, I get to the meeting early, they come into my space, okay, because I was the first one there. Now I'll start talking to them about themselves, or hey, let me know what are some things you've been doing, like what has been your experience in the past with fitness or training or whatever. And what are some things you thought you may feel was lacking in that? And they may say, oh, well, my trainer didn't pay attention to me, or they didn't do this, or if you're selling a product, I need somebody to do my back office or whatever else. Now I know exactly what that person needs. Now I'm going to fill all those needs. I'm going to check those boxes. So, okay, you said you didn't have this. Well, at FLO, we do these things. You say you were tight and didn't have enough mobility. Well, here's what we do at this place to help counter that. So now you have some kind of rapport with them and you're filling some kind of need with that person. So now all of a sudden they're receptive to that information because they go, oh, all right, well, I need these things and these people are willing to check those things. Now is when you can get into actually selling them. One of the other things you should always do is have a kind of notepad or something down where you're jotting down information. So make sure you're writing information down, certain key things they said, key terms. You want to make sure you write those things down. So now all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, cool. You said this. I remember before when you said this and this, and you can look at your notes and make sure you have that. So make sure you have a notepad with you. Another huge thing for meetings, try to not have your phone with you, or if you do, have it away, turned off, or somewhere where you're not looking at it. Okay, what tends to happen in meetings is people will put their phone on the table. All right, that's not a big deal. Phone's on the table showing that you want to listen to that person, but then you have it flipped up. And then during the course of the conversation, you do one of these. You do one of these looking down your phone. You do one of these looking down your phone. It just is disrespectful to that person. Now they don't have your full attention. So now you're looking back and forth. Or worse, you're texting while they're talking. Go, okay, I'm listening. That is the rudest thing you can do, especially in a meeting. Like if it's the first time you're with someone and you're going to meet with them and that's what you're going to do, it shows complete lack of respect for whatever it is you're trying to sell. Or if you're the one buying, it shows lack of respect for your time, as they're wasting your time because they're sitting there texting and doing other things. If it's required in the meeting, so let's say, hey, I have a picture or something I want to show you, it'll be very polite. You say, hey, do you mind me checking my phone? I want to show you something from there. Now all of a sudden that person feels like, wow, you do have a respect for me that you were asking me if you can check your phone. Yeah, sure, go ahead and check your phone. Most people aren't going to say no. And if they do say no, probably is not someone you want to do business with anyway. So you have those things, right? So you're going to show up early, you're going to develop a need, you're going to make sure if you have your phone with you or whatever, it's off, it's to the side, it's away. You're going to take notes. That's another big one, taking notes. Okay? So now you have all this stuff going on, the person's listening, they're receptive. When you're in a meeting, make sure you don't just nod the entire time. It gets rude after a while. So not all the whole time you're talking to them. One or two nods, yeah, I agree. Wow, that's cool. Ask a lot of questions. I feel like most people, when they get in a meeting, they want to talk more than they want to ask. If you ask the right questions, you'll find that little loophole. You'll find that little subtle thing that person really, really needs, and you'll find their real want for what it is that you're doing. So you have to find that why, and when you can find it, then all of a sudden the sale becomes a lot easier because you've developed some kind of rapport, or if you found some emotional connection to the information. One of the things to watch too, especially if it's a lunch meeting or whatever, watch the person's facial expressions as you talk about different things. You can tell a lot by someone's face. It gives everything away. If they're interested, they might raise their eyebrow, lean in a little bit and go, tell me more. They'll give you their ear because they want more of your information. Most people, like, think about it, like if you have conversations with somebody, if you're talking and they're like this, chances are that person's not interested. But if you say something, let's say, yeah, and this, we do this for your abs, and you see this, a little bit of a lean in, a little bit of an ear, wow, that person really cares about abs. Whether that's your big sell point or not, you know what that person cares about, and if you're trying to sell that person, it's more important what they want than what you want out of the conversation or whatever it is. So watch for those little cues. So facial expressions, study body language. If you haven't studied body language, it's huge game changer for me in sales, is being able to study someone's body language and how they move and how they act. So study that stuff, ask the right questions. All these things go into a lunch meeting. So it's not just showing up and stuffing your face full of food and talking to the person for a little bit. Try and work on these little things, and they'll help you be more successful with your meetings. Because I feel a lot of times people have 100 meetings, and it's like, how come you sold nothing if you had all these lunch meetings set up and everything else? And it's like, well, I didn't have the right people, or I didn't have the right product, or whatever. You blame everything else, when chances are it's probably your fault. Last thing, and this is something I've done with some of my meetings, but you can obviously decide in whatever town you're in, you can do something like this. And it wasn't done on purpose, just so you know. But if you go to a place in a town where you're well known, and it's the first time meeting with a different person, the people behind the counter or this person knowing you, saying, hey, Chris, what's up? Oh, I haven't seen you in a while, or whatever. Or someone walking in that because people come around that same time. Schedule a meeting in your town where you might run into somebody or someone knows you at the place. Reason you do that, it's called social proof, meaning that if these people know you and socially they're saying you're a cool person, now the person you're meeting with is more likely to be a little more relaxed and not be so defensive when they first run into you. So if other people in the establishment know you, it becomes, oh, that guy's cool. They've socially given you a thumbs up that you're a good person to do business with. So if it's a big time deal or whatever the deal is, whatever the sales you're trying to sell or get in this meeting, try to go somewhere where you're known so that people can talk to you and they'll establish some kind of rapport, and that way it makes the sell a lot easier. I hope this information has been helpful to you. If it is, like, share, comment, all that fun stuff. And that is our 5 with FLO. It went a little bit longer, but I think it's useful. See you guys next time. Peace.